Hello, hello, hello. Pinch and a punch, first of the month. It is the April the 1st of 2025. It's Monday. And I am Graham Hughes. Nice to meet you for the first time. If you're here for the first time. If you're not, if you're a returning viewer, hi. How's it going? You all right? Let's see who's in the chat. We've got Simon Smith. We've got Saz. We've got Simon M. Who's a different Simon to Simon Smith. We've got Scott in the chat. We've got Audrey White. We've got Wanangi Pagan. We've got Saz. We've got Reagan Elite. We've got Anne Phillips. Hello, everyone. If you would like to join our friends in the chat here, all you need to do is hit that big juicy subscribe button. Wait for about a minute, and then you'll be able to join in the chat. Billy Kershaw says, Pete, me bro headed over the border yesterday, did 190 miles. Jedburgh, then west, coming back down Alson, then back down Weardale, KTM 990 SMT. Thanks for that, Billy. I love people just having a chat about shit in the chat. I suppose that's why it's called the chat. Fair enough. We're going to be talking about Liberation Day today, which is tomorrow, actually. But we're going to talk about it today. Later on in the show, we might talk a little bit about Marine Le Pen getting found guilty of being an embezzler. It turns out that Le Pen is not mightier than the fraud. Sorry, that was Paul Sinner's joke. It wasn't mine, but I thought I'd just say it again because it was quite funny. Okay, so today we're talking about Trump and his Liberation Day. Liberation Day is tomorrow, April the 2nd, and it's the Trump administration's nickname for the day. It enacts tariffs sweeping virtually across all of US trading partners. It's an Orwellian spin because Trump frames it as a victory for economic nationalism, a liberation from foreign influence, but really it's the beginning of a self-inflicted trade war, which you could argue has already begun. Trump is planning to impose tariffs of between 10 and 20% on all trading partners. He's targeting countries with a large trade surplus vis-a-vis the US, i.e. China, the EU, which I know is not a country, but you know what I mean, Mexico, Vietnam, Ireland, Germany, Taiwan, Japan, South Korea, Canada, India, Thailand, Italy, Switzerland, and Malaysia. Great. He's going to apply immediate tariffs to sectors like automobiles, steel, aluminium, with more coming for semiconductors, pharmaceuticals, lumber, and copper. Trump is using executive authority under Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act, the National Security Justification, and Section 301 of the Trade Act of 1974 on unfair trading practices. He doesn't need Congress to do this, which is just a pretext, which his administration manufactures via broad claims of economic warfare and strategic dependency. Going into this, like the Americans were like in the strongest position they have been for a very, very long time economically, and now they're like, oh no, it's not enough. It's not enough. Biden left the economy in rude health, and now Trump's like, no, it's not enough. It's not enough. We can't be having this. We can't be having this. We're going to bring in these massive tariffs on literally everyone. Trump claims that globalization has hollowed out America's industrial heartlands. No. The fact that you don't want to pay people no money for working has hollowed out the industrial heartlands, because the essentials of life have got way more expensive. Meanwhile, wages have stagnated, and yet the wages in America are still much higher than the wages of someone in China. Or Vietnam. However, the people working in China and Vietnam can probably afford somewhere to live, because the whole economic system there is different in that respect. America and Britain and other countries around the world have had this runaway appreciation of assets, basics, so food, accommodation, beer, has all gone up in price, like massively, way above inflation, way above wage inflation. And as a result, we can't afford to pay people to make these products. So, for instance, it was estimated that if you tried to make an iPhone in America, it would cost $15,000 to buy, because that's how much it would cost to put it together in an American factory. That's how much you'd have to pay people in order to get it together. 15 grand for a phone. I don't think anyone's going to pay that. He also reckons that the US has been cheated by trading partners. And this is part of the narcissist prayer, isn't it? Always the fucking victim, these people, these right-wingers, the right-wingers more like. They're always the victim. Have you noticed how they're always the victim? It's never their fault. It's always someone else's fault. And they're always the victim in all this. It's kind of like someone did a video that I saw yesterday where they were talking about narcissists and how, if you know how to spot one, like, it's almost comical the way that they say the same things, exactly the same things, word for word, as other narcissists. They've only got like these stock phrases. It's as though they've got like a narcissist machine that pumps them out, and they're given like a little ring, a little pull thing, a little pull string, and then you pull string back, and they just make the same excuse as the narcissist prayer. I didn't do it. Well, if I did, it was your fault. If I did, it was, you deserved it. And you're just like, oh my God. People still fall for it, though. People still fall for it, and they think that, Trump is their bezzy, mate. So yeah, he believes that tariffs will bring jobs home and rebalance the economy, which it will not do. It absolutely will not do. He's selling pain as patriotism. It gives an enemy and a slogan to the American people. He's using tariffs as leverage in broader deals, the way a mob boss uses a baseball bat, goes into someone's house and place of business and smashes it up and goes, oh, nice place you got here. You wouldn't want anything to happen to it, would you? And then smash, smash, smash. Which is just typical of him, because he runs America like a mob boss runs a mafiosi family. But the thing is, when you have a criminal like Trump or Al Capone or Pablo Escobar, as was said in the TV show Narcos, and I really love this line, where the copper says, I only need to get lucky once. You need to stay lucky all the time. He says it to the criminal. He says, that for me just sums it all up. And Trump, to be fair, has been very, very, very lucky so far. But then you look at Marine Le Pen and you think, well, maybe justice might come eventually for Trump, but one way or another. He's talking about having a third term of office, which, as I said, he's not going to leave unless it's in a box. I will stake my reputation on it. I'll stake my hat on it. It's the only way he is ever leaving the White House. So, like I say, he doesn't need Congress to do this. He's saying that tariffs will bring home jobs and rebalance the economy. It is just bullshit. The real reasons why he's doing this is because of domestic optics. He's selling pain as patriotism. It gives an enemy and a slogan. And also, it's a massive distraction. He's amid legal challenges and internal chaos. A trade war is a patriotic smokescreen. And because in the US they have this really stupid fucking system, because they're idiots, where they, no offense, but come on, where they have the head of state and the head of government as the same person, who's also head of the army, etc., etc. But like the fact that that's the same person means that you have the rally round the flag effect, where everyone goes, oh yes, we're being attacked from outside. We're being discriminated against somehow. This isn't fair. We're being unjustly treated. And you're like, oh, really? Are you being unjustly? Well, no, not really. But we'll believe it. And they rally around the flag. Trump's approval ratings will go up after this. I mean, this week, maybe. I don't know what will happen once it kicks in. But I always think of is it the Millerite sect in the 1800s who believed that the world was going to end? And then it didn't. And then it just made them more fervent in their beliefs. They sold their houses and their farms, and they wrote their wills, and they did all this stuff because they thought they were going to die. They thought they were going to be pulled up in the rapture into heaven or something. It didn't happen. And it just made them more convinced that they were right. Because humans are stupid. Cognitive dissonance is the name of the game. One Angry Pagan, thank you so much for the super chat, my friend. That's really kind of you. Trump, why won't Europeans buy our cars? Europeans, ours are better. What would be the point, Trump? I'm going to tariff EU. Wine, EU. Try it, sunshine. Yes, thanks for that little script there from One Angry Pagan. He's absolutely right. We don't want American cars because they're too big for our little windy medieval European streets. Like, I mean, have you driven in Greece? Have you driven in Italy? Have you driven in Spain? I have. Like, once you get off the motorway, freeway, expressway, whatever you want to call it, once you're coming around the little town, little village, I mean, it's all like, the roads are like this wide. You want to be in a Fiat Pinto or a Mini or something. You don't want to be in a big bastard SUV. I mean, like a fucking stretched Cadillac limousine or something. Are you mad? Are you mad? Anyway, morning all, says Sonic. Hey Sonic, how you doing, mate? We've also got, who else have we got in this chat? We've got Diz saying morning. We've got Aquaday saying, if it's true, he won't go quiet in space, you'll be able to hear Elon scream. Car companies, including the tariffs, they'll row back on that one. No, I don't think they will, because one of the reasons why I think they're bringing this in is because he thinks it'll benefit Tesla, because Tesla's made in the US. Whereas the parts for other cars are made in Mexico and Canada that are assembled in the US, and their prices of Ford, of Chrysler, of GM are just going to go through the roof. So yeah, a patriotic smoke screen. And then, you've seen the stock markets yesterday, initial panic on, selling in equities, especially in tech and biotech and automotive companies. There's been a capital flight into US bonds, which has strengthened the dollar, which is the thing that apparently they don't want to do, but I'll get into that in a moment. And then there's the fear of retaliation leading to de-risking in multinational portfolios. And the trade partners' response, the EU, China, Canada, Mexico, they're preparing reciprocal tariffs. And the paralysis of the WTO, the World Trade Organization, continues. It was basically neutered by the last Trump administration and really hasn't come back since. But countries, may coordinate informal retaliation blocks, and Japan, Vietnam, and South Korea are already diversifying away from US supply chains. Just going to Unca's chat here. America sold their labor rights, labor unions, and real freedoms for cheap goods from China. Now they have no freedom and no cheap goods. Well, yes, that's what's going to happen. But yeah, I was gonna come on to some of this bloody ADHD. I just had something to say, and I thought, I better read the super chat. Thanks for it, by the way. But it's derailed what I was gonna say about I don't know, Japan, Vietnam. Oh yeah, why countries are poor. Okay, so one of the big reasons, there's a book called The Bottom Billion, which is worth reading, and it makes this argument that there are advanced nations, there are economically advanced nations, there's developed nations, there's developing nations, and then there are stagnant nations or stagnating nations. When you get to the level of stagnation, this is generally places like around the Sahel of Africa, Central Asian countries that have not experienced any kind of economic expansion for a very, very, very long time. And one of the issues that comes from this is that no one wants to trade with them. And the reason being generally is two things: corruption and uncertainty. So if you don't know that you're going to be able to sell your products for X amount next year, why would you invest in a factory in that place? Why would you put money in a place that is full of uncertainty? Why would you? Why would you? It's just one of those things that means that people, companies, businesses stay away, and they do it. It's understandable, isn't it? You were running a shop, you were running an off license or something, and then next year you think everything's going to cost twice as much, and then you're not going to get your customers because they're going to be like, well, I'm not going to pay twice as much for that. You wouldn't set up the business, would you? Because you'd be like, well, I can't see any future for this if I can't have some kind of idea at what's going to be happening in 12 months' time, in 24 months' time. But at the moment, we don't even know what's going to be happening in a month's time. One Angry Pagan, thank you very much. China is building massive landing ships. Yes, they're learning from the mistakes that Russia has made that Russia has made in Ukraine, and it's just yeah, it's scary. It's a scary situation. So China has a claim over Taiwan, and Taiwan sort of has a claim over China. And what happened was in the 1940s, the Chinese government fled from China because the communists under Mao were coming for them, and they took all the money from the country and they fled to Taiwan. And for many years, China had no money. It didn't really have much in the way of a military that could do anything about it. But that started changing in the 70s when the Republic of China, which is Taiwan, lost its seat at the UN, and that seat was given to the People's Republic of China. And Richard Nixon kind of augmented this. He got the ball rolling on this. And since then, China has been getting bigger and bigger and bigger since the death of Chairman Mao and all that kind of stuff, and the Gang of Four in the 80s, and then in the 90s in particular, it started this internalized capitalist marketplace in which it did rather well. But then, you know, the Taiwanese have long been told that they'll be protected by the West. They'll be protected by the US. But do you know who else was told they were going to be protected by the US? Do you know who else was told that their sovereignty was going to be protected by the US no matter what? If they just give up their nuclear weapons in the Budapest Memorandum in 1994, was it? Who was that? Oh, Ukraine. And has America done that? No. Has Russia done that? No. And China's watching this. They're seeing that the mistakes that Russia has made, and they're determined not to make the same mistakes. And I think they're going to strike pretty soon. They've already been cutting through submarine cables. They're investing in these massive landing ships that can land thousands of troops on the island of Taiwan. I mean, it's going to be a bloodbath. But the people of Taiwan, like the people of Ukraine, are going to fight to the last person because they're not going to want to be ruled by Beijing in the same way that the people of Ukraine do not want to be ruled by Moscow. And then yesterday, when the news came through about Marine Le Pen, and you had Vladimir Putin saying, "Oh, this is an insult to democracy." Are you fucking kidding me, Vlad? Do you know what's an insult to democracy? Your stupid fucking face, and the fact that you murder anyone who stands in your way. You murder the opposition MPs. You murder the opposition leaders. You murder them. Anyone who looks at you funny, they're out a window, or they're given Novichok, or they're blown up in a plane. All right, talk to us about bloody, it's just bizarre, isn't it? It's just like a mass murderer who's like talking to people about why you shouldn't murder people, and you're like, oh yeah, it's not quite rich for you saying that, is it, Dr. Shipman? What else have we got in the chat? We've got Ishtar. Even then, European nations, Spain, Portugal, and the Netherlands were the first nations to colonize Taiwan. China only took it because they don't like European bases being so close. Formosa, wasn't it called Formosa for a long time? Davey Crossing, China was always going to be a superpower. It's one of the oldest and longest living civilizations in the world. It's a fake background, isn't it? No, I had a fit of ADHD yesterday, where the sun was shining on my screen. It wasn't too bad yesterday because it was a bit overcast, but like the day before, so I couldn't see my screen properly. So I thought, oh, I'll move my monitor, and that led me to moving my desk 90 degrees. But moving my desk 90 degrees made me move my desk away from the wall, and seeing that there was flaking paint on the wall. So I went and got the scraper and scraped the flaking paint. I thought, I'm going to have to repaint this. So I went and got me paint, and I've got anti-fungal paint, for corners of rooms that are in an old building like this. And, it's three coats. And then I had to wire everything back up again in the new position with, the lights and the camera and the monitors and everything. Yes. But then I got it sorted just in time to do stateside yesterday, which is why I didn't get its own thumbnail, which I still have to do. I'll do that today. But yeah, no, I've just rotated the desk 90 degrees. If anyone watched my original shows on here, my original streams that I started doing during lockdown, you'll probably recognize the posters because they were behind me. I used to sit on that couch doing the old what was it at the beginning? Was it just Hughes at 10 or something? I forgot what I called it now. Hughes at 1. Kate says, yeah, China tend to make tech and then refine it and make it cheaper to sell themselves. Plus, every company who manufactures in China has to allow the government access to the company and then the tech. That's true. In fact, Taiwan has the origins of the Austronesian language, i.e. the peoples who conquered the Pacific Ocean all the way west to Madagascar, Hawaii, New Zealand. All of it was settled by people, says Ishtar. I don't think they got to Madagascar because that would be the other way, wouldn't it? They got as far as Easter Islands, like Rapa Nui. We know that they because there was the idea of the Kon-Tiki expedition, wasn't there? That the people of Chile, because Chile owns Easter Island, and they were like, no, it's Chilean, it's a Chilean, and it wasn't. It's Polynesian, and yeah, those people who populated the Polynesians, Micronesians, Melanesians, the people who populated those islands out in the Pacific all have their ancestral roots in Taiwan. True story. What energy efficiency expert advises you on anti-mold paint? I don't know, Wayne. It was someone, I've forgotten the name, Wayne. Oh God, it's on the tip of my tongue. But if I remember before the end of the show, Wayne, I'll tell everyone who it was, Wayne, who told me to get some antifungal paint. It's just like, and when you hear the word antifungal, you're like, it's not something you get at the chemist. Probably not a great thing to say. But yeah, it's too early for this shit. Right, okay, so back to the tariffs. I'll tell you now why it won't work, okay? So there's this idea, this Mar-a-Lago Accord, and it's supposedly modelled after the 1985's Plaza Accord, but inverted, because back in 1985, it was a coordinated devaluation of the dollar to help US exports. Now, Trump wants others to devalue their currencies by dumping US treasuries. And why this is unworkable is it's a reserve currency risk. Asking countries to stop buying US debt undermines the dollar's supremacy. The bond market is fragile, like dumping treasury equals higher yields, and that equals higher US borrowing costs. So they'll be paying more in interest on their borrowing, and they're already the budget deficit, and when it comes to borrowing in America, is just like off the charts. It's been off the charts since Trump's first term in office, when he ramped it up to just eye-watering levels of national debt. And then you've got no willing partners. Europe and China won't help if they're being punished simultaneously. During the 1985 Plaza Accords, you had countries coming together to actually make this thing happen. And do you know what? It wasn't that successful, you know? It led to the lost decade in Japan, but we'll come to that in a moment. As well as having, reserve currency risk, bond market fragility, no willing partners, you've also got this inflationary time bomb, which means that tariffs equal rising import costs, and this puts pressure on the Fed, which equals chaos. The fact that you're going to have everything. So like farmers, you think, oh, well, they're growing their food in America, so they won't get tariffs. Yeah, but the nitrates and the potash that they need for the soil to grow stuff, that is going to be hit by tariffs. So just the basics is going to be hit by tariffs. So they're going to pass that cost on to the supermarkets or whoever they sell their produce to, who are going to in turn put it onto the consumers. And then you've also got cars, like the every car that is sold, apart from maybe a few little Teslas, which are entirely made in the US, are going to be out of the reach of people being able to buy them. And it's not like, Teslas are really fucking expensive. I think they're like $35,000 like the starter model. Okay, that's the cheapest one, which is an eye-watering sum of money to spend on a car. It is more than I earn in like 2 years of doing this. So like, I'm never going to be able to buy a Tesla. And the idea that I'm going to go, oh, well, I can't afford a Pinto now because of these tariffs that are coming. So I'll tell you what, I'll buy a Tesla instead. I don't have the money to buy a Tesla. I'm just not going to buy a new car. That's it. I'm just not going to buy a car for a while. That's it. And so what that does is slows the whole market down. It doesn't just fuck Ford and Chrysler and stuff. It also fucks over Tesla because people just won't be buying cars in general. And the fewer cars are on the road, the more people will use public transport and realize that maybe they don't need a car. Silver linings. So this has happened before. If anyone who's watched Ferris Bueller's Day Off might remember, they talk about the Smoot-Hawley tariffs. These came in the 1930s and imposed tariffs on more than 20,000 imports to protect US farmers. This triggered a global retaliation, collapsing world trade by 67% between 1929 and 1934. And it turned the 1929 Wall Street crash into the Great Depression. This is what caused the Great Depression. We were talking about this yesterday during stateside. I was saying that the Irish potato famine, it's famine in inverted commas because it shouldn't have happened. It was a man-made disaster. It wasn't just because there was a potato blight. It was because of all the economic factors leading into this system where people were completely reliant on potatoes to freaking live because the British weren't allowing people to grow anything else. There was a bunch of stuff as well. It's like the way that the law worked in Ireland at the time meant that instead of everything going to the eldest son, things were spread out across the whole family. So within a few generations, if you had a plot of land, it tended to get split into the smaller and smaller subdivisions. Now, that could have been fine had the Irish people been allowed to use as much of their own land as they liked, but they weren't, because you still have this kind of quasi-feudal system where the British overlords told them where they could dig and where they could grow stuff and how farms should operate in Ireland. And the Great Depression is no different. It was a man-made disaster. Yes, there was the Dust Bowl in the South, but that exacerbated the problems that were put in place by stupid politicians who failed to learn from history, as seems to be the case with a lot of politicians around the world. Umka, thank you very much. Let them eat cake. Policy for Make America Great. Yeah, it is. Let them eat cake. It really is. In 1985, so the Plaza Accord, it was the US, it was Japan, the UK, France, and West Germany, as it was then, agreed to weaken the dollar. They came together to say, look, we need to weaken the dollar because that'll be beneficial for everyone somehow. It was a short-term win for US exports, because it made the exports cheaper because the dollar was worth less. But as a result, Japan's yen skyrocketed and exports shrank, and the domestic stimulus led to an asset bubble in Japan. And that bubble burst in the 1990s, leading to what they call the lost decade, which is when growth just stopped. Like if you chart Japan's economic growth, it's like up and up and up and up and up and up and up, and it gets like second in the world after America in the 90s, and then it just stops. It just goes straight. It just goes straight. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of cray. And then we've got so it led to a collapse of Japan's stock and also property markets. Banks were saddled with non-performing loans. GDP growth stagnated for, I'll say, over a decade, but it's been ever since. Like, they barely recovered. And the debt to GDP ratio is well over 100% in Japan and has been for a very long time. Massive government debt accumulated trying to stimulate the economy. And then during Trump's first trade war between 2018 to 2020, that cost more than 300,000 jobs in America. Mostly in manufacturing and agriculture. He's saying bring back manufacturing. He's part of the problem with his stupid ideas of how to fix these problems that don't really exist. Things change. You can't hold back technology. You can't hold back progress. It's why when we talk about taking smartphones off kids, it's not going to work. You just can't. It just doesn't work in the world in which we're living. You have to piss with the dick you've got, okay? I don't want to be so crude, but that's the situation. You need to incrementally make things better. Throwing the baby out with the bathwater in this respect, in any respect, never, ever works. They're like, we're going to have a revolution. Oh, great. Okay, cool. Is it to have more democracy? No, it's going to have less democracy, and we're going to be chaining people up for no reason other than we think that they might be illegal. And then we're going to be giving them no food and just a glass of water. And we're going to leave the lights on for 17 days. and just give them a sheet to sleep under. Maybe we won't even give them that. And no clothes to change into. And no toilets. That's what's happening in America right now, mate. Concentration camps. Fucking concentration camps. Trump's first trade war also raised prices on appliances and steel, metals, base metals, and also on automobiles in America. Trade deficit barely budged, and China pivoted its supply chains to other countries in the ASEAN group and also in Latin America in the Mercosur group. Then you've got the fact that tariffs are a tax on the poor. They don't seem to realise this. And we've said this time and time again on this channel, like, that they're a tax on the poor. Lower income Americans spend more on goods than services, so they are hit first. Every Walmart shopper is now subsidizing Trump's economic delusions effectively. You're going to see the price of everything people buy going up. Like everything, absolutely everything you spend your money on in America, the cost of it is going to go up. And the wealth effect is crumbling. Since Trump's re-election, the top 10% have lost 2.7 trillion in stock market value. The top 10% companies. Confidence and spending are dipping. Restaurants, travel, high-end retail are most vulnerable. Like, this is just par for the course. And like I say, the reason why countries stagnate and never really get out of this poverty trap in places like West Africa is because of the corruption, but also the uncertainty that comes from the corruption. People like certainty. One of the reasons why Brexit was so damaging in those years when we were deciding whether we were going to Brexit or not is because of the uncertainty that it caused companies. It wasn't just the non-barrier tariffs, or whether they call non-visible tariffs, which are tariffs, but you know they're not codified, something like that. But yeah, non-tariff barriers to trade. Even before they were put up, the fact that people didn't know what was going to happen, the fact that we weren't given certainty, the fact that absolutely irresponsibly, Article 50 was triggered before we had an economic plan, before we had any rumblings of a trade deal. And then we were gaslit, we were lied to, and they said, oh, the EU's not even going to discuss things until we trigger Article 50. And the EU standing there going, this is bullshit, mate. This is bullshit. This isn't true. They went to Brussels and spoke to people who negotiated with the UK. And they were like, no, there was no reason. I mean, they couldn't start official meetings, but they could have had unofficial meetings. That's fine. You know, you could all meet up and say, right, what are we going to do? How are we going to do this? How are we going to make this the best that we can possibly make it? But no, we triggered Article 50. The leader of the opposition at the time voted 3-line whip with the Tories to enact an economic policy that would make the poorest people in our communities even fucking poorer. Nice, thanks for that. Never forget, never forgive. But yeah, they triggered it, and then they finally turn up to these meetings to have a discussion about our future trading relationship with our biggest trading partner, which is the European Union. And the guy, David Davis, turns up with a fucking blank notepad. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's got like a piece of paper. And meanwhile, Michel Barnier's sitting on the other side of the table with like stacks of documents and treaties and you know, it's just it was just embarrassing. But uncertainty breeds like the uncertainty is terrible for any given economy. You know, any economic system can work fairly well so long as people know what's going to happen tomorrow. Otherwise, they go, shit, I'm going to take my money out of all these companies. I'm going to stop investing. Why would you invest? Like my example, why would you invest in opening a shop if there's a chance that next year everything you sell is going to cost twice as much and the people in your community are not going to be able to afford to buy anything from that shop? Why would you? To take it down to like a more human level when we're not talking about, you know, economical statistics and all that shit. Just like, why would you do it? Why would you put your life savings into a shop that might not be a going concern in 12 months' time through factors that you have no control over whatsoever? And then, you know, confidence and spending are absolutely dipping. Restaurants, travel, high-end retail are most vulnerable. I mean, we're seeing people cancelling their trips to America. We're talking like trillions of dollars worth of tourist spend in America that's gone off a cliff. Thanks to Trump. Why would you go? You know, people are scared. You got people who have got written something on Facebook 8 years ago about how much Trump's a fucking dick, and they're getting arrested when they get to America and held in a cage. They put children in cages. You take the kids to Disneyland in Florida, there's a chance that the fucking Americans, because they're a bit, savage, uncivilized people that they are, brutes and barbarians, they might arrest you and your family for you liking a friend's Facebook post from 8 years ago saying Trump's a dickhead. And they'll put your kids in cages and force them to shit in their own fucking clothes. Because that's what they're doing at the moment to anyone they regard as a migrant. And don't think they're just doing it to the brown people and the Mexicans and the black people, because they're not. They're doing it to white people as well. They've done it to people from the UK. They've done it to people from Canada. They will do it to anyone. They will do it to you. Why would you go there? I have been to the Democratic Republic of Congo. I spent a week there. I spent a week in Congo. It's just the Republic of Congo. They put me in jail for a week. I had no food for a week. I had to sleep on the floor of a jail cell. It was horrible. There was blood all over the walls. But you know what? I'll go back there before I go back to America at the moment. I really would. Because if I got locked up again, I know the British Embassy can get me out. I'm not so sure they could get me out if I got locked up by the Yanks. I've been to Iraq. I've been to Afghanistan. I've been to frickin' Somalia. I'd rather go to any of those places again. I'll go to Cape Verde. They locked me up as well. I will go back there tomorrow. If there was a choice between there or America. No way would I go to America until Trump is not the president anymore. And if you take your kids over there, I think you're fucking insane. Because they will check through your social media profiles. And even if you've never written anything negative about Trump in your life, you may have accidentally liked someone else who did. Or maybe you watch one of these videos and they'll go, oh, we can see from your YouTube history that you watched this guy who really fucking hates Trump. We're going to put you in a holding cell for 17 days. People are dying. People are dying at the moment in holding cells in America. Why the fuck would you go there? Like, you just wouldn't. Canada? Yeah. Mexico? Why not? America? No. Absolutely not. Do not touch it with a shitty stick. And are we going to be buying American shit? No. People all over the world are boycotting American shit. Denmark is boycotting McDonald's and Coca-Cola. Germany, Tesla sales are down, 90%? 90 fucking percent of people no one's buying a Tesla. Because, first of all, they hate the Americans. And secondly, the fact that if you have a Tesla, it's likely to get defaced, isn't it? It's likely to get attacked. What can I say? Ken M, I can't go because I watch leftist programs. Yeah, Ken, that's the way it is. The land of the free. Except you're not free to watch things that they don't want you to watch, or go to a museum and find out the facts of what actually happened in history. They don't want you to know that. So yeah, let's talk about the technocrat fantasy. I was talking about this yesterday. So in the 1930s, there was a group called the Technocrats who wanted to make a technocracy. And the idea was everything was going to be run by engineers and technocrats, people who knew science. And I was saying how that didn't work, because in any kind of democratic government, you need a government that reflects the people. So I want to see more representation of people from other backgrounds, people who have worked manual jobs and things like that in Parliament. I want to see that route there has kind of closed off, because unions, which used to be a route into politics for manual workers, have been decimated by the Tory administration in the 1990s, and then subsequent 1980s, and the subsequent administration since then. And as a result, it means that a lot of people in Parliament now are PPE graduates, and we need people from all walks of life. But the idea that we just have scientists in charge, or we have just business people in charge, it's just for the birds. It's so stupid to think, we need this one type of person and they can run everything. And it's not true. We are a plurality of people. We have people with different needs, people with different creeds, people with different religions, people with different accents and languages and all this kind of stuff living together. Our governments, our parliaments need to reflect that so that everyone feels represented. And it's not like, the technocrat fantasy to me is incredibly childish. It's that fantasy you have when you're 12 years old of like, well, if I ran the world, this is what it would be perfect. It would be wonderful. It would be amazing. Hate to bring you back down to earth, but if you ran the world, you'd probably fuck it up. I know that I would. Let's get our egos in check a little bit here. Do you know what I mean? You don't know everything. You haven't got all the best ideas. You don't know how everything works. And if you do think that you would be the best placed person to run the world, I think you need to wind your neck in. Quite frankly, sorry to insult people watching the show, but seriously, I mean, I think that I could help. Maybe, if I went into politics, but it would be a plurality. It would be a Socratic method. It would be like other people giving advice, because you don't know stuff until you know stuff. As simple as that. No one knows everything. We've got another couple of super chats in. We've got Gunny, £2 super chat. Buy Iron Brew. Thank God I'm Scottish. Yes, indeed. Definitely buy Iron Brew. I'll give you a like for that. And also, David Faulkner, thank you so much for the 78 Hong Kong dollars. Sunday service on why hero worship is killing democracy is your most splendid rant ever. Beijing and Washington, please stop interference in Taiwan. We've seen the war in Ukraine. We don't want it here. Yeah. I couldn't agree more, mate. I mean, what the Russian people are going through is really shit at the moment because of Putin's crazed military adventure. Don't forget, it's not a war. It's not a war. It's a special program of, I don't know what it is. But yeah, the technocrat fantasy, control through chaos. Tariffs are a part of a broader authoritarian techno-nationalist project to kill off regulatory institutions, to centralize economic decisions and replace public workers with AI and engineers. I mean, the AI thing is just the most frustrating thing in the world. If anyone has any experience of using the tools that we have in AI, whether it's, I don't know, Microsoft's Assistant or what's it called, ChatGPT, all that kind of stuff, like you ask it to do the same things over and over again. Like I'll ask it to do a plan for a show. I mean, it can do headers, and that's about it. If I say I need a detailed breakdown of all that's going on, I want 6,000 words. It'll go chug chug chug, spit out 1,000 words, and I'll say, how many words is that, ChatGPT? And it'll say, it is 1,078 words. And I'll say, what did I ask for? Oh yes, you asked for 6,000 words. I will rewrite it with 6,000 words, including lots of historical contents and examples and quotes and all this kind. And then it goes chug 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 chug. How many words is that, ChatGPT? It says, I have done 1,250 words. And I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. They did it with my videos. So I had a load of videos from my travels that I needed to catalogue. I needed to write down what was on each tape, okay? So I've uploaded all the tapes to YouTube. They're on an unlisted thing on this channel. And I put it on. I put the link in to ChatGPT mod add-on thing, and to say, can you give me a breakdown of what happens in this episode? And it would watch the first 5 minutes and give me a breakdown, a detailed breakdown, fair enough, but a breakdown of what happened in the first 5 minutes. It wouldn't bother watching the rest. Like, AI is lazy, it makes mistakes, and you've got to check up on it all the frickin' time. Anyway, so yeah, bringing it back to the technocrats fantasy. This is Musk's doing. Musk whispering in the ear of Donald Trump, as well as other people in his administration who are trying to get him to do this crazy shit. But the Doge agency is firing regulators and feeding public data into his AI models. The reason why he wanted access to everyone's national insurance number, or what they call it over their social security number, why he wanted addresses, or he wanted their voting records, or he wanted their medical records, is to feed into his AI. So his AI has access to data that other AIs do not have access to. And you have AI plus tariffs means authoritarian control over the economy without any kind of democratic oversight, which isn't supposed to happen. The US Congress is supposed to vote on anything to do with money. this was the thing. Like, this was well, it's not the schism, but even back in the day of Henry VIII, when we had these divine right sovereigns, we had kings who were they were put there by God apparently, even when they killed the last guy, and that's how they got the job, like his dad. But Henry VIII still had to ask Parliament if he wanted to raise money to go and have a war or something. He had to ask Parliament if it was okay if he could raise taxes. And if he tried to circumvent the will of Parliament, you found out what happened to Charles I. He got his head chopped off. Tried to bring in a ship tax or something. Dickhead. Some kind of poll tax. Yeah, never goes down well. Learn your history, Thatcher. Learn your history. So where this is going in the short term, we've got market volatility, we've got rising consumer prices, we've got diplomatic retaliation. In the medium term, we've got erosion of global trust in the US financial system. We've got de-dollarization and trade trend. The de-dollarization trend accelerating. We've got major US brands facing declining global market share. In the long term, you've got the risk of recession, you've got the collapse of US trade leadership, and you've also got the rise of China and India and other BRICS countries as alternative trading blocs. I don't think that the US is going to stop being the reserve currency of the world anytime soon. We've been warned about the BRICS having their own currency. I've been hearing this for years. It's a bit like hydrogen powered fucking cars. It's always a few years away. Yeah, we're gonna have our own currency, and then we're gonna trade everything in that rather than the US dollar. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay. Which one are you gonna pick? Which one are you gonna pick? BRICS? Are you gonna use the Chinese one? No, it's not the one. Is it the one? No, the ringgit, whatever it is, the Chinese ringgit. No, we don't want China having that much power. Okay, are you going to have Russia's rubles? No, we don't want Russia having that much power. Okay, are we going to have Indian money, Indian rupees? Yeah, no, we're not going to. We don't want India to have that much power. Oh, okay. We're gonna have Brazilian. What's the Brazilian currency? I've probably got some on my desk here. Reals? Is it Brazilian reals? Should we have? No. We don't want. So we have South African dollars? No. We don't want South African. No. We can't have them. So it's like, okay, are the BRICS countries gonna decide like what the currency is gonna be? No. Okay. Well, we'll just stick with the dollar then. The euro might replace the dollar as the reserve currency of the world, but I think that those sort of BRICS countries look on Europe with a little bit of a bit of a side eye. I mean, understandably, when you think about some of the things that Europe did to those particular countries, with the exception of Russia, yeah. I can see why they might be a bit hesitant to say, oh yeah, we'll give them all the power. But then again, look what America's done over the last 100 years. You might be thinking, yeah, can't see them wanting to go with the dollar much more, but I can't really see it happening. So yeah, Liberation Day tomorrow. More like Liquidation Day, eh? Sorry. For the global economy. Trump's economic plan is like using a chainsaw for brain surgery, to be quite frank. It's messy, it's reckless, and it's inevitably going to be catastrophic. When Steve Bannon, of all people, thinks you've gone too far, maybe it's time to, I don't know, rethink your economic nationalism. What do you think about all this? Let me know in the chat. One Angry Pagan says evolutionary epidemiology. He loves putting big words in his messages. One Angry Pagan. One of the descriptions for this is basically applying what we know about evolution to sociology, religion, politics, living systems. Essentially, a POV sorely needed, in my opinion. Yes, of evolutionary epistemology. Umka. I think One Angry Pagan needs to find like a lexicologist. He needs to get like who's the woman off Countdown, Susie Dent. You need to start watching Susie Dent videos, mate, because I can't say half the words you put up. And it makes me feel really stupid because I'm like, oh my God, how do I break down this big word that has 17 syllables in it? But yeah, so maybe break it down for me. Nick and Diff says the problem with AI now is that it's being used to rip off and cheapen genuine art, e.g. Studio Ghibli knockoffs. It's really disheartening to see so much AI slop around. It's nasty. Yeah. I don't know. Like, do I have a problem with people using a Studio Ghibli filter to do a picture of themselves and their family, which they think is nice, and they'll print it out and put it. I mean, do I have a problem with people Disneyfying their faces for a picture? No, not really. I mean, I don't think it devalues Studio Ghibli. I know some people have, and Studio Ghibli itself has like put a cease and desist letter out because obviously they're not happy about it. But I don't know. I thought it was really, really distasteful that the White House or the White House press office or whoever put out a Studio Ghibli-ized picture of the of an ice arresting some Mexican grandmother. That for me was just a bit much, you know. But um, I don't know. I don't feel strongly enough. Although I am a huge Studio Ghibli fan, I don't feel strong enough that like it's in a way devaluing what Studio Ghibli is, because it's more than just the look of its art. It's so much more than that. It's the context of its stories and the characters and the worlds that Studio Ghibli builds in all of its movies. Um, so yeah, I'm a bit conflicted. I think if they don't want people doing it, then I'm not going to do it. But at the same time, is it really harmful, or could you look at it another way and think, well, actually, this is allowing more people to learn what Studio Ghibli is and going, oh yeah, those Japanese movies. Oh no, I watched one of them ages ago. I really like that, and maybe it'll open the door for them discovering more of them. Maybe they'll, go and watch My Neighbor Totoro or Spirited Away or Princess Mononoke on Disney Plus, because they've seen something on Facebook of someone. What have you done here? Oh, it's this Japanese studio that's like the Japanese Walt Disney, only not a fascist. But yeah, sorry, was Walt Disney a fascist? I don't know. I don't think he was. I don't think he liked Jewish people though. Did he? Did he have a problem with Jewish people? I think he did. Suzanne says, I'm with you on liquidation day because stock market's already in the toilet. I've had a few friends laid off from work already, and it's going to be horrible. It absolutely is. Not for the very rich, though, because the very rich are going to make loads and loads and loads and loads and loads of money out of this, because that's, what he is. Trump is talking about, this historic a wave of historic tariffs that are set to crash like a tsunami over the global supply chains this week. I mean, this is going to liberate the American economy. Liberate it from what? Sensible trade, affordable goods, international cooperation. It is just painful. I mean, look at who's putting tariffs on. It's everyone. It's China, Mexico, Canada, the EU, South Korea, Japan, India, Thailand, Ireland. Ireland's getting tariffs. Who puts tariffs on fucking Ireland? 10 to 20% tariffs expenses across the board. I mean, auto imports are being targeted with 25% plus tariffs. I mean, goods compliance with the US, what's it called? The US, Mexico, Canada trade agreements, or SUMCA. Did you say USUMCA? Or did you say USMCA? I don't know. USMCA. The USCMCA. That doesn't work, does it? Yeah, apparently some of those might be exempt, but we don't know. We don't know. This is driving the whole uncertainty, isn't it? And this is it's political performance art for a start. It's disaster capitalism. This is an economic shock. It's not a bug. It's a feature. Chaos clears the board for crony capitalists like Musk to buy up things cheap. He's got the money to move things around, to buy up everything he wants cheap, which is what happened in the credit crunch. They bought up a load of things cheap. They loved it. What happened during COVID? The super wealthy doubled their money. But this is the thing. There's only a handful of super wealthy people. 3 Americans, Musk, Bezos, and Zuckerberg. They all own more. Between them, they are worth more money than 50% of the American population combined. Over 170 million people. These 3 people have more money than the 170 million people. So I say, like in a video game, when you take out a character who's not a nice character, and then a health kit pops out and a gun and some ammo and maybe some money. Maybe some money will pop out of them. I don't know. I don't know how video games work. But the US doesn't make most of what it consumes. 98% of antibiotics are imported. Lithium for the EV batteries imported. Car parts heavily important. Important and imported. And these US manufacturers are deeply integrated into global supply chains. So punishing imports punishes US producers, and consumers are going to eat the cost, as I've said. And the last time Trump tried this, it resulted in hundreds of thousands of job losses, and it cost the US households, according to the NY Fed, it cost US households an average of $1,277. Oh, mate, it's just, yeah. It's just painful. It's just painful. So what have we got in here? Top 5% in the UK are just 30,000 people. Yeah, that's too many people to take out. 3 people, I think, is easier to take out for pizza. Joanna says, put it this way, the combined wealth of Musk, Bezos, and Zuckerberg equals about a third of the UK GDP. Yeah, that's fucking insane, isn't it? The subtle difference between disaster capitalism and disastrous capitalism, says Ernie Burns. Well, it's not disastrous for the super rich. I need to keep pointing this out because they're not going to. Martin says, more likes, please. Yes, Martin. Thank you very much. You good point there. Give us a like. We're not close to 50%, and Martin's not happy about it. I read that. Sorry, I'm trying to find Plum's message because Plum's hemorrhoids are the poor cousins of hernias in my non-mad. Ooh, bum grapes. Not fun. Oh, yes. Some of us have been there. Alchemist, Occam's razor. We know he loves a grift. He's shortening the market before the tariffs. Take bribes, cover the shorts, then go long, delay the tariffs. Simple as that. Yeah. Nick and Diff. I don't know, Graham. Future generations will know what art is or pursue it if a computer can knock out a copy in 30 seconds and for 50p. Well, artists aren't paid what they should be paid anyway. Like Hallmark cards. Like you think about a lot of really great artists, they're just working for a card company now. No one's going to buy their artwork and put it on the wall. And fine art that, we have reproductions of, but the originals, they're in the realms of people who have got more money than I can ever imagine. I'm not in that realm. I can't have fine art. I can't be part of that world. I never could. Maybe AI is allowing me to be part of that world. Maybe. I don't know. I just see with AI, I think there are risks with it. And we got into this pretty in depth in the last episode of Friday Night Social. My attitude towards it is the same as when any new tech comes along that revolutionizes things in a way. When I think of computers in the 1980s, I think of the internet in the 90s and 2000s, and now I'm thinking it's just another tool that can be used, and it can also be misused. So I don't believe in putting the genie back in the bottle. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's going to work. I don't think there's any point in it. But what I do see is the need for regulation now before things get too insane. But when we talk about copyright, if we really, really wanted to screw America, just withdraw from the copyright agreements that we've signed. Just take all their stuff, make our own Marvel movies. And then when they say, oh, yeah, stop it, that's against international law, we're like, international law, eh? Conventions, agreements between countries not to rob each other's ideas. That's interesting. What a novel concept. Maybe if you start, America, you start abiding by international rules and regulations. Maybe you can get Russia to abide by international rules and regulations. Maybe we will as well. How about that? How'd you like them apples? Yeah, we'll remake Good Will Hunting. I'm serious. We'll remake it with the kid from Spider-Man. We'll make our own Spider-Man with the kid from Spider-Man. We'll make our own Batman with the fellas from Batman, the British fellas who play Batman. We'll make our own Spider-Man, Superman, Batman with the British people who have played all those characters. I mean, we need to get someone to play Professor Xavier. Get someone British in. We need someone to play Magneto. Get someone British in. We need someone to play a Canadian. A Canadian? What you mean, like Wolverine? Yeah, we need a Canadian. Okay, we'll get an Australian in. Oh, American casting. I'm not saying AI should go away. It needs regulation. Absolutely agree, Nick and Diff. AI can copy voices and impersonate you now. It's terrifying on the security level. Aid Thompson gets very vexed about this, and I'd love to sort of have a debate with him about it, because I don't see that as the kind of world threatening in the way that just Trump being president and doing all the crazy shit that he's doing is. And the reason being is people don't believe stuff that's real. Like, they literally don't believe stuff. And you can give them all the evidence in the world that man actually landed on the moon. You can give them all the evidence in the world that JFK was shot dead by Lee Harvey Oswald. Another 80,000 documents were released, and all it did is end up giving people's social security numbers away. It didn't add anything. We didn't find out the CIA did it, or the mafia, or the Cubans. It turned out to be, no, it looks like he did it. It looks like he did it. I know he never went to trial, as he was shot dead before he could go to trial. But seriously, it looks like he did it. But you can give all this information, all this details to people, and they won't believe it. You speak to an anti-vaxxer, they will not believe all the medical studies in the world because they've seen a YouTube video. It's like, you just want to tap them on the head and say, bless. But my point is that when I'm presented with evidence that, Biden said something, it's a recording of him saying that he eats kittens or something, my first reaction is like, is this real? Is this real? And yeah, I mean, the stuff that is being made on AI at the moment looks fucking AI. It doesn't look real. It really doesn't. And we've had the ability to make things look real for a very long time. As I keep saying to people, Forrest Gump in 1994, over 30 years ago, he didn't really meet JFK. They just made it look like he met JFK. The dinosaurs in Jurassic Park weren't real dinosaurs. They just looked like they were real dinosaurs. The Terminator in Terminator 2, the T-1000, wasn't really made of liquid metal. Like, the ability to do special effects and do amazing shit has been there for a long time. And I'm always reminded of one of the first screenings of a film, like in the 1890s, and it was a train coming towards the audience, and the stories, they might be apocryphal, but the stories of people running away because they thought the train was going to burst out the picture and hit them, because they weren't used to seeing something animated, something moving on a screen before. And I think we're in the same situation here. I think the people who don't want to believe real stuff aren't going to necessarily believe unreal stuff. But if they do, okay, well, they'll send it to me and I'll be like, that's bollocks, that's AI. It's not real. As I do with all the shit AI bollocks, or, pre-AI memes that just lie about stuff, the memes that tell me that 9/11 was an inside job, or that hydrogen cars are just around the fucking corner, and all this kind of shit. Like, I've seen it every day. I'm kind of a bit sick of it, to be honest with you. I've had an email address now for 30 fucking years. 30 years of getting chain mails. Remember when you used to get chain mails? Pass this on to 10 people in your address book, and you will get good luck for the rest of the year. And it was always some fucking absolute bollocks about, I don't know. Now it's cryptocurrency and healthcare scams and, vitamin salesmen and all this bullshit. And it still goes round and round and round. The misinformation's out there anyway. Maybe instead of regulating what AI can do in that respect, just regulating misinformation. And if you say something that isn't true and is libelous and causes damage to democracy, you can be pulled up on it. You can be fined for it. I mean, you get fined for all kinds of shit in this country. You get fined for putting two tires into a bus lane that's empty on an empty road at 3 a.m. because you didn't realize it was a bus lane because you'd never driven down that road before. Bang! £100 fine. So if you're giving the fine for that, what should the fine be for spreading misinformation? If it's provable, you put this on your Facebook, yeah? Well, it's bullshit. Yeah, so what? Well, it's a £50 fine. What? It's a £50 fine. You spread bullshit. God, that would make so much money for the government, wouldn't it? Imagine that, taxing the dickheads. That'd be fantastic. You're not allowed to put anything online unless it's true. God, that would make people verify, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it? Wouldn't it? Anyway, I'm avoiding the main media today as I need a happy day, rejuvenate a little. Plum Duff, yes. Okay, I was going to have a look at the papers, Plum Duff. So if you want to stick your fingers in your ears and go la 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 and close your eyes for the next 5 minutes, you're very welcome to do so. I've gone a little bit over time, so I will rattle through them very, very quickly. As quick as I can. As quick as I can. The problem with AI is it generates plausible BS. Nonsense BS is less harmful than plausible BS. Yeah, but I mean, we've been able to edit words together to make it sound like someone said something that they didn't for ages. We've been able to doctor footage for ages. We've been able to airbrush photographs long before Photoshop came along. I mean, we've had these tools before, although these tools might have only been in the hands of a select few people working for the CIA or the KGB or whatever. But now everyone's got it. Okay, fair enough. But you just got to learn to take everything with a pinch of salt. Is that a bad thing, though? You know that if you show a real thing to someone, like Trump actually saying something, the Trump voters will respond with fake news. You know, you've seen it. You've seen people do it. That's not real. That's not real, that thing that he actually said out of his face. No, he never said that. I just show you the footage of it. Nah, that's not real. That's an actor pretending to be him. I don't know. I just don't see it as kind of like as apocalyptic and as world ending as some people have supposed. I'm a bit more positive about it. I think it's just going to be a tool for making people more efficient. But then again, should we really be measuring everything on efficiency? We often find that the most creative people, when given a task, don't necessarily get to the task straight away. They go for a walk, they clean the house, they paint a wall, rather than getting on with the job because they need to be inspired. They need that inspiration to come. Anyway, right. Actually, Plum Duff, actually come with me because there's some fun bits in the papers. Bring the papers up here. We've got Marine Le Pen here in the Times. She can't run for election. In your face, Le Pen. You fucking Nazi. Thank you very much to Umka. Stalin removed friends from photos. Yeah, absolutely. And Trump's tariffs will hit Britain, admits PM. UK negotiators denied deal in challenging talk. So, we're not going to get any special relationship. Got to tell you, and I know I've told you this before, Tom Brooks, who teaches at Durham University, he was the Dean of Law and Politics at Durham University. He's also an advisor to the Labour Party. He is American. He studied politics in America for many years, but it wasn't until he came to the UK that he ever heard the term special relationship being used in the context of the US and the UK. He'd heard it used in the context of the US and Mexico, but not the US and the UK. Just saying. Okay, so Soft Touch UK on course for record high in arrivals. This is the Daily Shit Express. Trump fails to prevent Trump's 20% tariffs, as do all countries, so whatever. This is April Fool, I guess. Despite PM saying he's angry about illegal immigration, he's not stopping the boats. I can stop the boats tomorrow. I'm not saying to put me in charge of everything, but if you put me in charge of stopping the boats tomorrow, what I would do is I would delegate Zoe Gardner to stopping the boats, and she could do it within 2 hours. She could absolutely do it within 2 hours. Stop the boats immediately. Just offer safe ways of people applying for asylum in the UK. That's all you need to do. Set up a burger van in Calais and say, right, here's your forms, fill them out, photographs, fingerprints, apply for asylum. We'll let you know in a few months. Okay, yeah, you can come over. Just get on the ferry and we'll sort you out. Anyway, moving on. Two-tier police race guide row. Official report by chief constables tell officers racial equality does not mean treating everyone the same. All right, not bad. Royal exclusive. Harry's friend tells Mail Prince feels like he's had a finger cut off in charity feud. Oh, I can see why he's a bit upset about it. Pop pedos bankrupt. Gary Glitter's victims victory. Vile rockers assets targeted after he tried to dodge compo payouts. This is the disgusting, disgraced paedophile Gary Glitter, whose music is often played in American football stadiums or soccer ball stadiums. What do they call them? No, American gridiron stadiums. Often played at football matches and sport things in America. His music, and he gets royalties for that. I really wish they'll stop doing that. Zadie Smith on Tracy Chapman. She was singing our songs. Tracy Chapman, she was great. Jeremy Deller's enormous collaborative unsellable art. Okay, brilliant. And then we've got Furious Le Pen rails against ban on running for French presidency. Look at her. She's got a face like a bulldog chewing a wasp. Take that, you fash. Take that, you fash fuck. You can't run and you're not going to win. UN says Israel shot dead 15 Palestinian rescuers. Fucking hell. More awful stories coming out of Israel and the occupied territories. Trump tariffs likely to hit UK, admits number 10. Yeah, I don't think we see any way out of this. And then the Star leads with this really disturbing story about Victoria. Oh God, what's her name? Shit, I've forgotten her name. Victoria Veronica Guthrie. Shit, what's her fucking name? Anyway, she's done a video. There was the woman that accused Prince Andrew of statutory rape, and she made a video on Instagram. I think it was Instagram. She was all bruised up and said she'd been involved in a collision with a school bus. And the bus was going like 110 kilometers an hour, and she's got kidney failure, and she's only got 4 days to live. It's all a bit grim, if it's true. Another ordinary day in the grand old USA. Man baby, he insists he will defy law to be president until 2023. 2033, sorry. I think he's going to be president until he dies. I don't think it's going to be till 2023. It's going to be till he dies. World markets tumble on threats of tariffs. Meanwhile, we keep sucking up to the orange maniac, the madness of King Don. He is acting like a king. Lee Corn, thank you very much. Johnny Reynolds is doing the round saying we're going to get a US trade deal. Oh, okay. I'll text him and ask if we are. Thanks very much for the super chat there, Lee. Even Jeffrey Epstein called Trump a horrible person. Think about that. Bloody hell. Donald Trump could eat shit on live TV and Fox would be showcasing recipes from MAGA the next day. Yeah, you're not wrong. Okay, here we go. The art of doing double denim with confidence leads to the Daily Telegraph because that's important. While the era of cheap eggs is over. Okay. And then we've got Trump, no free trade without free speech. Okay. So if I call Trump a cunt, can I do that? Oh no, I've just been demonetized. Okay. Defiant Rayner tells UK firm, my new rights for workers will help economy. She's being defiant. Well, good job. Good job, Defiant Rayner. And then we've also got Le Pen's presidential hope. Oh, God, what is even happening here? This is not right. What have you done to me? I'll just leave it here. Le Pen's presidential hope shattered by 5-year ban on running for office. Virginia Guthrie, is it? Andrew accuser, I've only got 4 days to live. And there's a really disturbing picture of her all bruised up after this crash that she's been in. Global stocks tumble, says the... Nope, that's just not coming up there, is it? No matter how many times I click on it, it's not going to work. Global stocks tumble as markets await full details of Trump's liberation tariffs. So, you know, more economic pain. You know, after the credit crunch, after COVID, after the austerity and Brexit and Liz Truss's mini budget. And Trump's first term, more economic pain for the millennials. Thanks for that, boomers. Not all boomers. Hashtag not all boomers. But enough of them. Enough of them to vote for Brexit. Enough of them to vote for Trump. If no one stops him, he'll sure be president till he dies. He'll do a Putin and have Vance be president maybe, but he won't leave. Yeah. There's ways around it. I mean, he'll just ignore the Constitution. I mean, he's ignored the Constitution before. It's not going to stop. There's nothing to stop him from ignoring the Constitution. And the way I think it's going to play out is he's going to declare an emergency, state of emergency over something, because he's giving things up for there to be a massive terrorist attack, because he's upsetting enough people that at some point something horrible is going to happen, and he's going to use that as a pretext to call a national emergency. And well, once he does that, he can suspend elections, which is what happened during the Civil War, and something that will happen during the state of emergency that Trump declares, straight out of Putin's playbook. Bit ironical that he accused Vladimir Zelensky of being a dictator on the grounds that they're not having elections in Ukraine at the moment because they're under attack. Constant attack by the Russians. But there you go. Thanks for the not all boomers. We don't like ageism around here any more than any otherism. Rick Ashley is suing for royalties for the Rick rolling meme. I saw that on Facebook today. No, he's not. That's April Fool. Come on. As if you'll get royalties for that. April Fool. Thanks very much, Ernie. I saw straight through it. Next should be telling me they grow spaghetti on trees. Simon says Duke of York didn't know, so he didn't know her, so he paid her 12 million allegedly. Don't think many in the chat know him either. Where's that cash? Harry, my hiatus hernia, wishes you a good morning. Ishtar Epstein about Trump. His moral compass does not exist. Wow, that's very rich, isn't it? That's very, very rich. Oh, and Katrina Tam, thank you very much. I knew it was worth blathering on for 19 more minutes than I should have done because we got a super chat from Katrina Tam. Here's some money for compensate for calling Trump at C Unit. I've not been able to watch for a few days. Saw a sign in Brompton Cemetery saying don't feed the birds because bird flu is over here now. That might be why cheap eggs are out the window. Thanks for the super chat, Katrina. That is really kind of you. And yeah, I think you're all right. You're all right about the way that things are going. But some good things might come out of it, you know? Like once Trump's gone, maybe AOC will get in. Maybe America will turn itself around. Maybe America will make deals that cannot be destroyed by a president in the future. Maybe they'll bring in some guardrails next time after this, but maybe America won't exist anymore. I should have realized that Brexit would happen because too many people believe the spaghetti April Fool decades before. I hope the Gifra story is it Gifra story is not April Fool. It's one of those words where there's lots of possible ways of pronouncing it. But yeah, I think that I'm hoping that it's not as bad as she said that it is. But if it is that bad, it's really horrible. I wouldn't wish that on anyone. And you know, she's had a time of it. You know, she was abused as a minor by Epstein and by Trump and by Prince Andrew and Clinton and all the rest of these fucking pedos who are now running the world for some reason. Anyway, right. So in conclusion, Trump's a twat. He's trying to destabilize the global rules-based trade system so a few oligarchs get to call the shots. Like a total motherfucker. Okay, so there's going to be no Geoscope tonight, I'm afraid. We might shunt it till tomorrow. Hope you don't hate us for doing that, because I'm not going to be around this evening. But if you would like to watch tomorrow, we've got a bumper schedule tomorrow. We've got in the morning, we have Morning Brew, followed by Prime Minister's Questions at 12 o'clock, and then The Rabbit Hole with me and Rachel Harris at 6 o'clock. I might rename that. I might call it Life, the Universe, and Everything, because The Rabbit Hole sort of sounds like we're going into conspiracy theories, which we don't do. But Life, the Universe, and Everything is basically what we talk about for an hour. Maybe it could be Life, the Universe, and Everything but Politics. How about that? And Politics Social. Yeah, I like that. Should we call it that? Do you like that? Life, the Universe, and Everything but Politics? So we have an hour where we just talk about all this shit. Usually about like video games and movies and TV shows that we love. It's a brilliant channel, says Richie Goth. Oh, thank you. Oh, I went a bit fangirl there, didn't I? Oh, thank you. Yeah, the Germany of the 1930s and 40s, not the Germany of today. May the US change for the better too. Well, that's the hope. That's the hope. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining me this morning. Thank you for everyone watching, everyone who's contributed to the chat. Give us a like. Before you go, because the more likes we get, the more likely we are to be recommended on other channels and stuff like that. It really helps the algorithm. If you would like a beautiful rose after your name, like Nick and Diff has got, and Martin Harrow and Liz Allen and Alice Demcam, all you need to do is join the channel. It's only a couple of quid. Just do that and you get a rose. Yeah, you get access to the Discord server as well, which is pretty cool. 42. Everyone's saying 42. We call the show 42. Just 42. Or you're saying that is the answer to life, the universe, and everything. How about 42 plus 18 minutes? That's a very literal thing. 42 indeed. Bye, everyone. 42. Yeah. You're not going to like it. 42. Okay, so thanks very much for watching. And until next time, hopefully tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, I'll say hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.